Dude, that's the beauty of open targets, man. You put those things out at 20 yards, and people are like, "I don't have to aim."
Come up. So that's Alpha
Chong
Mike,
chong.
Charlie Mike, Alpha Delta.
Delta Mike, what the hell?
What the
But
hell's
it
going?
looked,
I pointed the gun at it. It was brown.
but it looked really good on Instagram.
Where them points at? Welcome to the PARAcast. I'm your host, Tomas the Boss Hernandez. Feeling great, fantastic. Look at this jawline. Wow, you can look at that jawline on YouTube. Head on over there. Sure, it's a PARAcast Firearms Podcast. It should pop up with our ugly mugs. And anyways, joining me tonight, he joined the Navy just for the seamen. It's Robert Wyatt.
Hey, any port in a storm, man.
And he was disappointed the entire time.
So were they.
And he can shoot all 38 Super Comp. He can shoot all the 38 Super Comp he wants because slip and fall season is just around the corner. It's Jared Stepp.
I do have a large case of it. I might have found a gun though that I could borrow. Another gun. So we'll see.
I'll borrow.
If you shoot the 9, fine. Why not just shoot the 38, or why not shoot that? Is there a difference?
I'm running out of bullets.
That would make a difference.
I found a case of 38 Super Comp. So
You find cases of bullets like I find primers in my basement.
yeah, well, science.
It's science.
Science,
Yeah.
and apparently a thing called piles of doom.
Yeah, you science by understanding that the pile of doom has a strong foundation of very sturdy boxes, and you move all that stuff around. And you're like, wait a minute, I'm richer than I thought. Look at this. Yeah,
My kids are gonna love it when I die and they clean everything out and they start finding like boxes of money and primers and bullets all over the house.
We're going to Disneyland, honey. We're going to Disneyland.
Oh my gosh, it's a Gen 1 set of Pokemon trading cards. Oh my gosh, our life is saved. We can pay for the funeral and go to Sizzler.
Meanwhile, Dad's up in heaven being like, son of a bitch, that's where it went.
That's a sign.
About that Pikachu.
That's a signed Charizard. No, don't sell it. Don't sell it.
Is Charizard like Charles mixed with a lizard?
Charles L. Azard. Charles L. Azard.
It's Charizard's dad.
I mean, I growing up,
nice
I used to have a pretty good collection of first season garbage pail kids, but I guess that doesn't really count.
No, that probably holds a little bit more value than the Pokemons currently at the moment. Anyways, I went out yesterday with one Jared Stepp and one Alex Coco went, and we did our little range day that we went out there and shot. And for the first hour and a half, I was just everyone's range bitch. So
it was great. He makes a good cat bait.
So I was, we're setting up targets, and Jared explained the Patreon thing. Explain the fast drill real quick.
So Sage Dynamics does a Patreon where he has a very generous drill of the month, pretty much every month, where he does something, and he's giving away like one of his Sage Dynamic pistols, like that full agency Glock. So it's like a $2,000-$3,000 Glock. He's giving away a $2,000 rifle, optics, and so this month he's giving away some pistol FN Reflex, I think, and it's whoever shoots the best time on the fast drill. That's the fundamental accuracy speeds test by Todd Green with pistoltraining.com. Whoever shoots the fastest time on that gets the gun. So I've done that before, and I can do that drill pretty well. I've done it in the past in the 3s, and so I said I could probably do that.
Have you done it when it actually matters? Because sorry, let me kind of back up. If I remember right, don't you have to do it in a class setting with somebody, like Ernest Langdon or something?
If you want the fast coin, Langdon does it. You have to do it in the class. You get 2 attempts. So, you get
one attempt.
You get one attempt if you pass it. If you pass the attempt under the 7-second for the hat pin or under the 5 seconds for the coin, then you get another attempt. If you don't do that, then you get a third attempt, but you have to get 2 out of you have to do it twice out of those attempts. So the first one buys you a second attempt, and then if you don't pass on the second attempt, you get a third attempt to do it. And I think it's like 18 or maybe 20 people now have a fast coin.
Yeah. I've never been to any Langdon's classes, so I've never had a chance to do it. But I can pretty much on demand, anytime I do the fast test, the fast drill. I can typically crank out a sub 5. Normally, I'm in about the 4.5, the 4.8, if I'm like aiming hard.
Now this is with a duty, like a duty holster, a retention holster, or from concealment.
Or from concealment.
I think Langdon does it where it has to be from concealment, or it has to be like a level 2 duty holster.
It has to. Well,
and then
I think
Langdon has his own rules.
Langdon has his rules where like he does not consider an ALS to be a significant disadvantage or an actual duty type holster, and so Langdon will make you do the SLS hood, or if you have like the level 3 ALS SLS kind of gear, so it has to be concealment or at least the the Safariland systems that have the hood on it, and then like he'll give you like 0.3 seconds more if you have like flaps on the magazine. So if like your duty belt has like a flap on the magazine, bring it up a flap and taking it, because that's, if you can pull up the flap and grab your magazine out and that only costs you 0.3 of a second, like you're a stud, because those magazine flaps suck.
Are awful. But it's a good little drill. It's a good test, really, and that's the thing. It was not created as something to be just shot again and again and again and again and again and again and again. The goal is you want to shoot it once or twice to see what your actual raw performance is, and then go work on other things. The expert level is sub 5 seconds clean. What it is 7 yards. You do 2 shots into a 3x5 head box.
Draw.
Perform a slide lock reload, and then 4 shots into an 8-inch circle. Obviously from the draw. So the expert time is 5 seconds. Advanced is 7. I think like intermediate is 9. But I would say most USPSA shooters should easily be able to do the 7 time. I think anybody A class and above would be able to get the 5 pretty easily. And then once you start getting to M's and GMs, they should be able to get that 3-second range. And so that was the goal. So I did a 3.81 clean yesterday with Tommy's help. And well, with Sage Dynamics, he changed his standard. So he says if you have an ALS, he'll give you half a second off, which is wild. So technically, my time submitted for the challenge is a 3.31, which is going to be very hard to beat, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And if somebody does beat me, that good for them. I'm not even going to be mad about that.
Yeah. One of the issues is like so Jared tried it and then he offered to run me. I run it. I literally bring up the gun and just. First shot of the day, I put 1 shot high over the head of the target, and so we like, whatever, tape it, set it up. It was like 430 something. And then I ran it again and just cleaned it at 464, something like that, out of the full concealment appendix rig with the appendix reload. And so I shot it twice. I was very, very happy with doing that. It is, I would say, the knocking half a second off for an ALS
is silly.
Versus full concealment is bullshit. Like it's
absolutely
full concealment, moving the t-shirt to get the gun, moving the t-shirt to get the magazine. Especially out of the concealment stuff that I've worked on, the reload from concealment is much harder than almost anything else. At least on the draw, if you get to start how you want, you have a free hand to move the shirt. On the reload, you have one hand to do both actions, and it's a 2-step process, and it's at least a 0.3 to do that. So it was very interesting, but it's one of those drills where if you focus on exactly the wrong thing, you will get exactly the wrong outcome every time on the fast drill. Because the one thing you can't do as an advanced shooter is think about the draw or you think about the reload. Because if you do any one of those things, like everything flies away. Those things
fall apart.
Yeah, quickly. And so, yeah, we were sitting there messing with it, and Jared was doing consistently making it, and then I had one suggestion for him, and then we did the suggestion, and it was fun to see Jared. Do you want to talk about it, Jared, or would you like it to stay on the dark side of the internet for the rest of your life?
No, so I did it. We probably did like 6 or 7 runs, I'd say, and then
all of them well under 5. Like all of them well under 5. Like Jared can do this all the live long day. Like he was John Henry putting in railroad spikes, all under 5, all in the low 4s. Yeah, he wanted
a 3. And so, because I know I could do a 3, and I've done 3s in the past. And so I wanted to do a 3, and so I wanted to keep working at it. And so Tom made the recommendation. He's like, well, why don't we occlude your dot? It looks like you're having a hard time focusing on the X on the hard black B8 center. So we should occlude your dot. You should try that. And I will say that the first time we did it with the occluded dot, I smoked it and just shot it perfect. And it was hilarious because Tom's just like, yes! And Tom was very happy because he was proven right by himself and in front of God and everyone. And so Tom was very
Could
excited.
It just simply be that you were focusing on the fact that there was the occlusion and you weren't letting other things get in the way, and so you just did what you needed to do?
Perhaps.
It really
isn't the occlusion as much as it is you just got out of your head.
So this is the argument that I would make. Yes.
Get him, Robert.
I would make your own argument for you. That yes, because the dot is occluded, you have to look only at the spot that you can look. Therefore, you are so worried about doing anything else besides looking at where the bullet needs to go that you actually look at where the bullet needs to go. The whole point is the distraction of the occlusion. And by having the distraction of the occlusion, you will force your eyes to remain in the same depth of field that you are needed to do for precise shooting at speed.
So you're going to shoot Utah State with an occluded dot?
I have no problem shooting it with an occluded dot.
Do it.
Okay.
Oh God, you're going to make him do it.
Do it.
Now he's going to have an excuse when he loses to you, Robert.
Then okay. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. No, hold on.
Then he deserves it. He should win.
I will shoot with an occluded dot all for Utah State. If I win, you have to shoot for an occluded dot for the rest of the year.
That's fine because I was going to switch over to irons. So fuck you.
No. Okay. You have to shoot for 6 months with an occluded dot.
I won't do it. I have no intent. I have no desire to do that.
My argument for an occluded dot is not for level 2 matches. It's not for carry. It is simply for like, here's a tool to use in some drills that are under stress, that you can see what you're doing.
Tommy always sets these bets up that he's like guaranteed that he's like, I feel really good that I could win this thing.
Well,
and then he
sets
the
correct
bets.
way to bet.
Which is why instinctively I'm like, if Tommy's making a bet, I'm like, no. Although I do know the guy who's doing all the scoring, so I could take care of this right off the bat.
I don't remember that many deltas, but it was a long day. What do I know?
What happens if Tommy gets DQ'd?
Tommy gets to his last stage, and all of a sudden you see Robert walking away, and the RO has $50 in his pocket.
I do believe in a lot of situations that at some situations there are a diminishing return, but for the sport of USPSA and to understand your own eyes and what your eyes are doing, it can be helpful in stress drills where you're actually trying. And so it's funny because
I've already established that I have such a strong target focus at this point. What was it, 2 years ago at the handgun match when I'm like, I'll shoot irons, and I'm like, why can't I hit shit?
Well, the interesting thing is a lot of people will still have a target focus, but they will not have a specific target focus. And what's funny about occluding the dot is since you're so worried about the vision, you will actually look to the specific spot which you're trying to hit. It's the old Patriot thing: aim small, miss small. Instead of like, because we've all seen the shooters who look for brown and they shoot brown, and guess what?
Cops.
They hit. They most of the time they will hit. 80% of the time they will hit both shots on brown. Where those shots are in brown, it's the same thing. If you aim for the very small spot in the alpha, you'll most likely come up with 2 alphas. If you aim for Alpha Charlie, you'll get Charlies and Deltas. It's the same thing. It focuses you. But it was one of the weird things about watching Jared shoot it is like the first one's like he was like we were pulling up the time and I was looking. I was like, these are 30 splits. Because he's just like, I'm aiming. I'm trying to aim. It's like, no, you don't do this. Because I've literally seen Jared shoot 98% alphas on a 30-round course of fire as fast as he can. And the whole idea of like having that different focus was you get done with the reload and then you like, now it's dot time, and then you start following the dot.
Wait a minute. Was that 98% alphas? Were they all the 2-yard ones? Because he does pretty good when he just grips it.
I missed the 2-yard ones. I hit everything else. I missed the 2-yard ones.
But it was
the old Kenny Terry.
The 20 and 18
transitions are being aggressive.
The 20 and 18 splits on a B8 just popped back on there, and so it was very good to see him sit there and shoot that. But it was one of the coolest things.
It was fun
to sit there and watch. And
That's awesome.
We got to mess around with another 507 comp. I got to zero when I was done helping Jared here. Alex was chronoing his 38 special loads. I zeroed his new 407 and his 507 comp. The worst part about the 507 comp is still the reticles. The 8 MOA circle with the 2 MOA dot is still busy enough where you
odd.
Yes, I would say it's minorly distracting. I say when you're like very target focused and it's bright enough it blurs, but like when you see it in like it's if you had it toned down to the right brightness of the right day, the circle dot is a little distracting. It feels like I have a part of the sight that is blocking what I'm trying to look through.
It feels like there's like a piece of speck of dirt has landed on your emitter, and now the dot looks funky. And so it was odd because I shot Alex's for one of those TRX arms drills because my Glock was dying, and shooting it at speed, you don't notice it so much as a one dot with a ring around it. It looks just like one dot, but it looks like one dot that's a little skewy wampus, and so it was just odd. I would probably turn off the ring around it and just have the single center 2 MOA dot. But I also really like 2 MOA dots. They are my favorite.
The glass is clear. It's very large. Robert has one on his Prodigy. Like it is a very good dot, and I can see it as a very competitive thing if you are capable of shooting the small
housing.
Dots. Yeah, it's an ugly housing, and if you like the small dots, I think it'll be great for you. But if you have the 8 MOA circle dot versus a 6 MOA or 6.5 MOA just actual dot, I think you.
I think it didn't fit in the ALS holsters I had.
Yes, the corners.
Yeah, which was lame.
Don't enjoy it so much. So that was a bit of an overlook on it. But yeah, it was a good day, and we played. Hey, shoot your 9mm and then shoot my 45, and then everyone got the dose of like it's not heavy, it's not a super bad kicking, but when you go from 34 to full house major out of a small gun, like it's a noticeable wallop of increased power factor for no ballistically good reason.
That was the first time I shot irons in forever, and they were those weird HK
big,
irons,
yeah.
So I was like, what is this? Bah! Why is this one green in the middle? Bah!
It just reminds me, like, I could probably pull up like some 2005 gun magazines out of a box somewhere, and I will see nothing but advertisements for gigantic ass sights.
Oh yeah.
XS big dots, Trijicon HDs. Like, you will find nothing but like, look how easy this is to pick up with your eye, and it's like, yep, you're right, it is. So is a fiber, and a fiber is way more precise than this gigantic piece of junk. So, yep, that was the good time. Robert built stages. Did you do any shooting, Robert?
I shot the indoor match, and that was fun. We had a part-time stage. And
how did that go for the new shooters? And how do you set that up when you're expecting?
I had Zach was there, and so I had him kind of like just kind of walk it and do kind of a dry run through it, and we came up with the time, and it's a time that people could hit, but the new shooters obviously were going to run out on time, and I told them in advance. I was like, look,
but
the way you shoot, well, yeah. And I was like, the way you should shoot a fixed time stage is gather all the points you can, because if you have Delta and mics on all the targets, I mean, that's a lot worse than having 2 alpha, 2 alpha, 2 alpha, and then no penalty mic, things like that.
Yeah,
so it's fun. It's something different to do.
Yeah, it's one of the most. No miss hurts more. Then especially when you're doing some of that pro-am stuff and you send like 2 mics out of a piece of steel, especially back in the prod days where you would do that and you'd be like, oh no, what's happened? And then you like leave with like 3 pieces of steel up and like you just completely burned an entire position, gathered. You, sir, get almost no points. Have fun kicking yourself to the next stage.
May God have mercy on your soul.
Yeah. So we did that. Then Saturday, we went out to the range and we had to deal with some administrative stuff in a shooter that is no longer going to be with us. And then we spent the rest of the day just building the stage and building the state match. And we got most of it done. So we're doing pretty good. I think they kind of wrapped the majority of it up today. Tomorrow and through Wednesday, we're going to go through, do all of our finishing touches and tweaks. I spent all today after church getting all of our brand new iPads all put together. So I've got 22 of those things that I've just been working through just slowly but surely.
Yeah.
And but we'll have brand new full screen iPads or full size iPads. So that's pretty cool.
Those are nice too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, and hopefully the battery usage will hold up to them, especially like it's a hard thing sitting there trying to run those matches and then have the battery chargers and then have them overheat, especially in Utah. And like it's hard to keep those things at the right temperature, at the right battery power, especially when you're doing larger 2-day matches or while you're doing 4 days in a row and trying to get out there and score, and this, you're just heating those things up.
Well, and then now with all the crazy stuff we have, with the fancy timers, with the fancy Wi-Fi, with all this stuff, It used to be you could just turn your iPad onto airplane mode, and you're like, oh yeah, this battery will last for 20 hours, even if it's in the sun. But now with the Bluetooth on, with the Wi-Fi on, with it
especially paperless scoring.
Yeah, with paperless scoring, with constant updates in the background, constant refreshing in the background, those iPads die quick.
Not a lot of the iPads that we're having a discussion about are iPads that are basically somewhere between like 10 and 14 years old.
Oh, really?
And so the iPads that Slips had, they're done. I mean, we can't update them anymore. That's actually been the biggest problem, is we just can't update the stupid things. And so these new ones, they're brand spanking new. It's last year's generation.
Costco.
Yeah, totally right. I mean, like, what was it?
50. New sponsor of the state match, Costco.
Yeah, I think it was like $6,500 later. We had new pads.
Yeah.
So we got a few.
Yeah, we don't want your Cheeto paws on them. You hear me, shooters? When you're hitting accept, clean your freaking hands.
But so what we're gonna do is I think these will last us 10 years, and that's kind of my projection. But my goal is at year 4 or 5. I am going to take every single one of them, and I'm going to send them. I'm going to give them to Apple and say, put new batteries in these things. so that we're turning over that battery cycle more often, and it'll just give us more life at the end. So that's my thought.
Yeah,
should work.
That's the put it in your phone right now so you remember it in time.
Yeah.
So
I am excited to see how the new iPads do, because those old iPads, they died so freaking quick. Even when they had 100% battery, and you're like on stage 1 and they're at 70% already, and you're like, wait,
didn't we charge these last night?
What's happening?
Yeah. So they should do really, really well for this match. I need to find, they use that new well, actually I guess they don't. Apple has that weird lightning adapter thing, but they're all
the USB-C.
Yeah, but they're all the good ones now have that USB-C, which I wish we could have, because it'll charge way faster. But
yeah, who would have thought? Just the pores with the Androids. Last thing I want to talk about with you guys, especially with Robert on the show, CZ Shadow 2 Compact. Your thoughts?
I think it's a great gun. I have a feeling it was probably built for something like IDPA. Would I ever carry one? I don't think so. It's a heavier gun than I need. It just doesn't seem like it. But famous last words and all that. Right now it doesn't feel like it's just scratching an itch that I need to deal with. I think it's cool.
I found the weight in grams, but I couldn't find the ounces.
It's like 34 ounces or something like that.
So it's a significant cut of that front dust cover and some of the barrel length.
Yeah, is it like a Glock 19 size? I'm assuming
it's there's like a Glock 19 size, and then there's compact pistols that are slightly larger than a Glock 19, like a SIG P229 or something like that. It's kind of in that slightly larger Glock 19 frame size kind of gun.
Thick.
Yeah,
thick Glock 19.
I guess what I don't understand is, I mean, I've carried my Shadow 2 around, just because I had a holster and I've carried around, and it's like, this is not to me like an everyday carry kind of firearm. A 1911 is lighter than that. The CZ-P07 is more enjoyable to carry.
Yeah,
right.
So I'm not bagging on it. I just right now I don't understand it.
Would you carry your Shadow cocked and locked, or decocked resting on the firing pin, or how would you carry a Shadow 2? Because I don't know. Normally, obviously, with a P07, you just press the decock and then that's safe. But with the Shadow,
well, with the Shadow 2, the only ones I've ever carried have been my competition guns, and it's just because I'm going from point A to point B. However, if I was going to carry this firearm as a daily carry, I guarantee you that would have the OEM striker and spring in there, because that one, it ain't going off.
Yep.
I mean, I've done the test, like you remember, and I actually had the OEM stuff in there, and you can just wail on it. It ain't going off. And people are like, oh, it's not drop safe. And it's like, yeah, dude, have you ever seen a Series 70 Colt 1911?
Yeah,
it's the same effing thing.
With the factory striker and spring on it, you could. It would have to take one hell of a beating to the back of that hammer while the hammer was down.
And functionally, you would probably break something else on the gun trying to make that go off. So it's very safe.
If you had
only people like me that's dicking with it to make it do other things that makes the gun inherently less safe. You know what I'm saying?
It's called a feature.
Yeah. I would say, like, I would kind of make this argument for shooting the compact in USPSA, and that would be what's the Shadow that does not have the dust cover rail on the
Shadow
front?
That doesn't have the dust cover.
It's like the 3075. Yeah, but they have that special one. That's the Shadow.
Oh, the A01D or something like that.
The A01D. So you have a CZ75, and the reason that they took off that front dust cover was to balance out the recoil, because the Shadow 2s are very notoriously full dust cover, nose heavy. And so, like, you kind of think about having a gun that would be in that sweet spot that you could probably get up with some lock grips and do that 40-ish range that would not be so nose heavy, would be a little bit quicker on the draw, and would probably not have the trying to push down effect that the Shadow 2 would have. I would almost think of it as the cheaper brother to the CZ Custom Shop version of the gun, you're just sacrificing barrel length and dust cover, but most likely if you're shooting in CO, those things wouldn't be there to begin with. I think if somebody buys one and dicks around with one, I think they'll find something that's probably more cost effective to use. And the other part is too that you kind of notice is CZ Shadow 2s for what they are as cheap as they've ever been. You are finding these things for $870 if you gun.deals them. You can find them for pretty inexpensive.
Yeah.
So
no, it's a great way to go for that. Not bagging on it, not at all. I just CZ has enough other offerings,
right?
That I'm like, it's like
that PO7.
What are you trying to? Oh, it is. Yeah. The only downside, it just has the Omega trigger system, but you can change a lot of the parts out and make that thing really, really cherry.
Yep.
And the beauty of the Omega system is that it actually works. I mean, that was the whole point of it, was like, hey, the springs are breaking on this 75. Oh, cool. Here's a better system. It'll actually work. Oh, you can't tune it as much.
No, we don't
well,
like it.
What do you want?
Yep. Yeah, it's just kind of one of those. It's a fantastic system. Those PO7s and PO9s are really good guns. They just suffer from being in the same product line as the Shadows and the full-size CZ75s. It's like the PX4. The PX4 is a fantastic gun. The only problem is that it shares the same catalog as the Beretta 92. And so one audience will cannibalize the other, and PO7s and PO7s and PO9s either probably the best products in that whole lineup as far as a duty pistol, and CZ will put out the P10 and not even let you know that the PO7 and PO9 are around town anymore. So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
But yeah, Shadow 2. I mean, Shadow 2 come back. Someone should try it. I bet the impulse would be probably to somebody's liking on that. That would be my guess.
They'll sell a ton. The CZ fanboys are the same as the Glock fanboys. I mean, they'll sell them. It's not even going to be an issue in the world. But
yeah.
And truth is, maybe I'll get one someday. I don't know. I'm not going to say no, but today I don't see it. I just
right.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, you have lunatics who are buying Staccatos and Atlas and Infinities and all these custom high-end 2011s for $2 to $6, $7, $8, $9 grand for their carry guns. It's like I think they could sell a $1,500 carry gun that's Gucci very, very well.
If they even come in at that price, my guess is that they'll reach pretty close to parity with the standard CZ75 Shadow 2.
Yeah.
So eventually we'll get a Shadow 3 and we'll see what that looks like.
Dun, dun, dun.
So if you want to carry your Shadow 3, well, prepare yourself by having a fantastic belt to carry it on. Do the belt first. Wait for the gun later. Head on over to DominateDefense.com. You can get the Mach 1 speed belt for all your USPSA and competitive shooting needs. Also, you can check out all their concealment belts, and Tier 1 Concealment has one of their newest belts. They're all fantastic. Use promo code PARA and save PARA10, save 10% off any of your orders. Check out Precision Holster's Fast Holster. It is a excellent product. I shot my fastest ever T-Rex Arms 50-round pistol course using my Fast Holster off of my boss hanger.
It wasn't because of the occluded dot. It was because of the Fast Holster.
I didn't have an included dot when I shot it because what?
Wow.
Well, like that's right. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna tattoo a patch over my eye because I'm so into occlusion all the time. Use it sometimes. They're not jackasses over there. Use promo code PARA10 and save 10% off your order. And then check out Rune Tactical and W74 guide rods. Get a heavy guide rod and get an extra bullet in your magazine. Check those guys out and use the same promo code to save money. If you want to ask us questions, follow PARAcast on Instagram. Also, Telegram. Search PARAcast. You'll see it. Hop in there. Ask us questions when you like. Maybe some answers. Maybe some life advice. Maybe some just friends. Robert.
Let's see, from the master builder himself. I'm in Salt Lake City this weekend. What's a good place to eat in the South Jordan area?
I think you're amiss from not eating at Crown Burger while you're in Salt Lake area.
That is actually a good point. You kind of got to go to Crown Burger. It is a Utah thing.
Yeah, it's you get as most things that you need to do. You get even the one since the mass immigration to Utah. The one thing that I'm starting to see is the extinction of fry sauce.
What?
Fry sauce is slowly going the way of the dinosaur. I see less of it I see less of it being offered. So you get yourself a Crown Burger, the actual Crown Burger that has pastrami on it. It's fantastic. You get yourself some French fries and fry sauce, and even if you think it's 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 8 out of 10, you love it. It's something that you do.
They do have good milkshakes as well. So if you're trying to get your 3,000 calories for the day, do all those things and then feel good about yourself afterwards.
Yeah, it's Crown Burger is a staple.
Well, I mean, you could
Utah.
go Crown Burger or Apollo Burger, or I think there's even another one, Astro Burger.
Yeah,
they're all spin-offs of the same family.
They're all kind of like if you're in California and stuff like that, like Tom's, like a Tom's number 24 or Tom's number 23 or whatever they have there. But I think the Crown Burger is the way to fly. Definitely, that's the staple. That's the original. When you're in Salt Lake, that's what you do.
I would just say it just depends on what you want. I mean, if you're trying to go for a fancy food, if you're just trying to go for some basic, burgers, are you wanting to get tacos? Are you wanting to get Mexican? Are you wanting to get Chinese, Japanese, Indian, Thai? There's so many options. It's hard to say one thing to say go over there and get this.
It's burgers or Mexican food. I don't know what the hell else there is. That's what I would say. Unless you want to get
spoken like a true white man.
You wanna get some meth served at a Chili's? You can do that too. We've done that plenty.
That was good. I will say this: if you are gonna go to Red Iguana, because that's a very popular place, don't just order like the normal thing. If you just get a Red Iguana, if you go to Red Iguana and you get like the taco, enchilada, and tamale plate, it's going to be the exact same taco, enchilada, tamale plate that you get anywhere at any Mexican restaurant in the entire world. I would say my favorite dish by far at Red Iguana is the ranchera steak. Beef steak a la ranchera, I think is what they call it. But that's the big thing. It's chunks of sirloin, chopped up, grilled up nice, and then marinated for a little bit in this ranchera salsa, which is like essentially just a spicy red tomato with potatoes in it, and it's fantastic. I would go there and I would get that. If you want a good Mexican and you're good for spice, go there, get steak a la ranchera. It's like $20 and you'll be happy.
Alternately, you can go to Jared's house because I've seen some of his food pics, and he's actually pretty good at that.
I like cooking. Don't come to my house.
I had pizza with Jared. He said he was saving food for his kids. He saved them one slice of pizza for them both to share.
They're small.
There's no food there for you. Okay? The pictures are they're literally blood's running down his chin as he's taking the Instagram pictures. He's got no control. It's fine.
See, the funny thing is, I actually have a tres leches upstairs right now in the fridge that I just made, and we're gonna have that over at my mom's house for dinner. Tres leches is delicious.
Tres leches cake is
that's the bomb cake.
So, remember how I just said
is that the caramel thing?
No,
it's like 3 different kinds of like cream in it.
It's you get a normal cake, you melt. You basically put a variety of milk over it, sweetened condensed milk, evaporated milk, normal milk. You mix those together, put some vanilla in it, drain that over a normal white cake, and then you make a homemade whipped cream and strawberries, and you put that over the top. It's very moist, and it's delicious.
I literally say it's hamburgers or Mexican food, and what are our 2 recommendations? Hamburgers or Mexican food.
Well, you covered the hamburgers. I wanted to cover the Mexicans. I didn't say Home Depot. Jesus.
They're at Lowe's.
All I know is you avoid the taco truck right next to the pound. From Sean Edmonds. I've noticed that people really need to sight their rifles themselves. I guess probably because I shoot left-handed. Has anybody noticed a drastic shift in point of impact with an optic gun, like Robert shooting Tommy's gun or vice versa? I don't know. I've never noticed it.
So, it is possible, but it also depends on what optic you're using. It depends on if there's parallax. Because in theory, if you get a good quality optic and I zero it at 100 yards and then I give it to you, it should be right about there at 100 yards. It might be maybe an inch off. But honestly, if it's a good quality optic, you really shouldn't have issues with that.
Yeah, I can't say that I've had anyone else shoot my optic in a position where it would be like quantifiable or it's like, here, take this gun, go shoot this, and they ring steel at 250 yards, but it's not anything that would be on paper that you'd sit there and go, oh, this is that, or it's a shift.
Yeah.
So.
Let's see. Who is the best U.S. presidential candidate?
U.S. presidential candidate. I'm gonna let the
USPSA or.
It just says U.S. presidential.
U.S. presidential candidate.
I was joking. I take that back.
Here, if Steve Koski's answering, he's going to tell you Joe Biden. If Tommy
vote
answers,
for ye men still.
Yeah, I don't vote, so do whatever you want. I don't really care.
I will take any. I have three presidential candidates I would like. I will take any of the three above the current president of the United States. But I will say, though, one thing I would like to have less of is political talk on, well, let's say, I would like not to have the rife of infighting, especially during primary season, of what candidate ticks off anyone else about it. I think it's just going to come down to main presidential campaign season is where it is. I find the endless amounts of decisions in primary season, especially when you have like 16 candidates, to be nothing more than just a waste of time.
Well, it's also kind of sad for us here in Utah because, I mean, to be frank, it doesn't matter what our vote is. I mean, this is kind of a Debbie Downer look for us, but our vote doesn't matter. Our state is going to vote for the man in red on red team, no matter what happens. Yeah.
So I don't know. Summit County, they did their damnedest for Hillary.
And it got them 20% or whatever. I've made my my two financial political decisions to the two candidates I would like to see the most. So.
And I just don't vote. So good luck with that.
I've stopped following politics for years now, just because I think it's a dumpster fire, trash, toxic wasteland.
You guys don't have to kill 12 hours in a truck. I have to listen.
Right?
I have to listen to politics.
I don't know who said it, but I thought somebody said this once, and I thought it was one of the best things I ever heard in my life. It says the only reason you care about whether the Democrats or the Republicans are in power is because the government has too much power. You take the power away, and nobody gives a shit who they are.
Correct. And most of the times that I worry about them is just because of these things.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see. What's the over/under on how many of Dirk's barrels get shot up?
Oh,
all of them.
I think
if they're not by the end of the match, I will shoot them up.
Barrels getting shot up is a direct correlation to the level of match. So if it's a level 2, it's going to go up about 15%. If it's a level 3 or 4, it's going to go up about 40% because there's a lot of full send around town.
To be fair, did you see what the barrels were wearing?
This is true. I'm just putting it out there.
They're out there dressed in all black. Just means you can shoot them as much as you want.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
It's a sad reality of life. We reward you for shooting the brown targets. We penalize you for shooting the white guys, and nobody cares about the black guys. That's the worst thing about USPSA.
The last thing I like to hear is the sound of a 38 Super Comp doing this swirly in through a barrel, because I just think it's the devil's lottery. and one of those dice that's going to come out and knock out your front teeth.
Well, I had somebody one come back and hit me in the nads.
Somebody went and like cut those holes into the barrels, thinking, "Oh, this is great. It'll make it easy to carry them." Yeah, and then it's
those are called exit holes.
Yeah, no kidding. It was a good idea that was not thought through completely. It was terrible.
Yeah, it's still got plenty of when it leaves at 1,400 feet per second. It still's got plenty of zip on it.
Rotate those holes so they're away from the shooters, please.
Remember, lots of people were shot by 124 grain bullets going at 600 or 500 feet per second. That's what people got shot with for the last century. Just remember that when you hear the zip.
So let's see. Oh, so Andy Erickson, is a long-time listener to the show. His father was killed this week. He was in a traffic accident. He was killed. And that sucks, and I'm really sorry, Andy. And Alex Wendt, his grandfather, passed away, so that sucks.
Our condolences.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, Andy was really lucky in the sense because he has his podcast, and he'd had his father on there a couple times, and so he now has all of those recorded memories that he gets to hang on to. And so I was telling him one day, I was like, I wish I had that with my father, because I don't have any of that kind of stuff, but. That sucks. But he had a question. He said, if you had to fight with your brother over your dad's coolest guns, which two of these would you choose? 1984 Remington 700 ADL 30-06 with old school iron sights, a well-done sporterized 8mm Mauser Car 98K, or his custom 7mm Magnum he just finished, and the fancy Italian over-under Beretta shotgun.
You take the two that your brother doesn't want. Always take the high ground. Take the high ground.
Take the fourth one. That's by far the most expensive.
The Beretta shotgun, yes.
A fancy over-under, that's wild.
Now, in your process of taking the high ground, here's the low ground answer. The interviews you did with your father that are on the podcast, remove those episodes from the RSS feed. Then what you do is at the funeral, you print those onto CDs, so that you can hand them out at the funeral, but you charge $19.99 per copy. How well do they want to remember? Funerals are expensive. This is my advice.
My actual advice would be, I would say try to pick a gun that actually has sentimental value over dollar amount. Like if you guys used to go shoot trap, or you guys would shoot birds, or if he took you hunting on that old ADL, then yeah, that might be a more sentimental gun for you, even though it might not be worth the most out of the four. I would say go for a sentimental gun over a gun that you could sell, because to be frank, it doesn't matter how much the gun's worth if you're never going to sell it.
Right.
Also, I need to get going, guys.
It depends on how much the gun's worth. Last question.
Yeah. Well, talk amongst yourself for a minute, but because I gotta go find the last question now. Actually, let's pull one from the podcast. Talk about the committees.
The committees.
USPSA committees. Okay, so I think I know this. So Dave Riddle on the Casual Shooter podcast did two podcasts this week. One was the debate between Yi-Min Lin and Luigi Lee, which was interesting because if you actually watched it, you could actually watch in real time Luigi Lee being coached from the comment gallery. Craziest thing I ever saw in my life. But the next one he did was between Ben Berry and Kyle Stevens. Kyle Stevens is a big proponent of committees. Basically, the committees in USPSA coming up with the ideas on how to solve things, and so he wants to pursue that. So, what do you guys think of committees?
I did not believe that committee. I believe that test and evaluation is far more valid than committees.
Explain.
Let's say if you wanted to try something new with how matches were run or experiments with the rule book, it's much better to have local clubs or certain size matches test and evaluate those things to see if they can be used in bigger matches than have committees sit there and talk about how they're going to get done and how to implement them. Now, how do
you do that for a fee increase?
For a fee increase for over the course of USPSA for increasing the fees. Fees.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not just shooter-related stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a broad scale of issues that would affect the shooting community, but not necessarily which gun should we use.
Yeah, so like if you sat there and had a fee increase on what you would do, I would say that the issue is always with committees is unless there is a vested interest on representing certain people in that committee, then the committee just becomes kind of a circular argument of what position that they, well, not circular argument. It holds less meaning because you are spending or acquiring other people's money. Now, if you have if the committee is actually representative of different types of people and not area directors, but let's say people that are sent or elected for these committees that have responsibility or held to accountability from the people that sent them, you might be able to have something there. But you would need to have stakes in the committee members.
I think I think one of the best things you can do if you're going to do a committee is kind of what you're saying. I mean, gather a group of people across the broad range of skill and ideology, and then sit them down and say, this is what we're looking at, and you guys need to come up with a decision. And whatever your decision is, we're going to present that to the board, and the board's going to give you an up or a down vote. They're not going to have the ability to go and change it, because the problem with committees, as we saw with the fee thing, is that the committee went through and they spent all this time
and they got nothing.
And then the board's just like, I mean, Leighton's just like, I want to do what I want to do.
Jared, if you need to go ahead and just end your recording and hang up and just upload it. Me and Robert can finish up the show.
Goodbye, everyone. I love you, dude.
Edit that part out, Robert. Add
the part where Jared's like, screw you, bastards.
Yeah, so like that's the one thing is like, that's the other argument, like the vice versa argument to that is having the committees and whether or not that having their stuff enforceable is whether or not you should have committees that aren't really voted on have stuff that's actually enforceable.
That's a good question too.
Yeah, so like you then you basically, it all depends on how you set a committee and then what's being done. Like suggestions can be made, but ultimately your vested powers that you voted for should have veto power over committee. Like committees are a very hard thing to sit there and go through because they can either be not accountable, they can have actual no real power to do anything, or they can have more power over than the elected officials. And then the other problem is like what's the repercussions for members on the committee if they screw things up?
Well, that's the last question is actually very, very valid, because who are they accountable to? But it's the same. But the same question applies to the Nationals staff, like USPSA staff. Why would you? I mean, like, to what interest of the membership does not Troy necessarily, but Jake or Donna or all the underlings? They don't care about us as shooters. They work for the company, but we as members can't have them removed. I mean, should we be able to? I don't know.
And they effectively have power to supersede even recommendations or anything else from let's say of their own personal committees, or if you have RMIs looking at a situation and make a recommendation, they can supersede that.
Yeah.
So your argument will always be competent executive decisions that can be voted yay on or nay on with your vote. And I think the farther you get away from that, the more issues that you generally typically run into than just the direct line of this is my direct representative and I will hold them accountable for their decisions. Because the other part is like what elected or political leaders will like to do is like they'll like to hide behind the committees. This was the committee's that decision. They said it would work great. It didn't. Or
well, you're always going to have some level of passing the buck, as it were.
Yeah.
And you'll never get away from that, but I mean, does it not make sense to actually get people together, D through GM, and be like, this is what we're thinking about. Now go through, give us your best information that we can, so that we can then make a decision.
Yeah, well, I think you could kind of have that same stuff done to the area coordinators. Maybe the area coordinators.
Area coordinators don't do it. That's the problem. Is they just time and time again, those guys have just been notorious for coming back and be like, yeah, we screwed that up. Yeah, we screwed that up. Yeah, I mean, they don't think past the immediacy of the action, and it's like, okay, well, before we make a decision, I think this is one of the big problems that, as I see it from an outsider looking in on the area director issue, is that it's like there's this thing of we have to make a decision right this second. And it's like, well, no, you don't have to. You never have to make a decision right this second unless it's a life or death situation. So why can't we go and push it out? Because I think it's because if you push it out, then it gives people the opportunity to be like, hey, this thing that Layton's proposing is a really stupid idea. And so I don't know.
The pushing it out is also like when you meet on a certain agenda and things are brought up to vote, you will always have the appearance of rushing stuff out. So like you have the one problem with people putting stuff out to vote ahead of the time where it's actually ready. And the other problem is you have people that vote yes to bad ideas because it's on the agenda and we would like to try it. I think a certain level of I would say democracy or little laboratories like we have of states of actually having somewhat different rule sets that section coordinators and area directors that an area director can approve in his region, in his area, and allow section coordinators in their jurisdiction to enforce or have different rules to have little experiments to see what happens in there and then take those best ideas forward. And I think committees are best left probably below the area, like an area coordinator, an area director's jurisdiction. So under him, but not directly answering to him. Like maybe you just have your section coordinators, and those section coordinators develop ideas and committees, and then get to experiment with those committees with the area director's approval. And if the area director approves something that is harebrained because the section coordinators talked fancy to him, then the area coordinator can be directly liable for the consequences politically for those decisions.
But where does that start?
I think it starts at it's closest to the areas you can have as match directors and range masters talking with the section coordinator.
Is the section coordinators right now we are all functionally our own little entities. We're basically our own little countries. And so the rules that we have in Utah are not what's in the EOC or the Eastern Colorado, excuse me, and things like that. So because of that, I don't know what's happening over there. And so like who then gets these sections together to even have this conversation? Somebody at some point at the top has to say, Mr. Area 1 Director Bruce, I need you to farm this out to your sections and work with them. And that could work. I don't know.
Yeah, it could work, but I think the best kind of ideas, if you're going to have some sort of committee or approach, is always from the ground up. Top-down ideas very much seldomly work because it does not understand the complexities of the needs of all the individuals on the ground. All the individuals on the ground coming up, pushing up through their match directors and their range masters into their section coordinators, and then those section coordinators coming up with those different ideas and moving with themselves and passing up to the area directors.
But even then, you still have to have that something on the top like this. You have to have a culture at the top that says, we want you to do this down here. We're not going to direct you, but we expect you to bring us your best and brightest ideas. And if you do, we will then act on it. And in that regard, I don't see USPSA will never do that. Well, never say never. So but USPSA does not currently even come close to having that. Like the area directors walk around like they have all the power in the world, and functionally they do.
Yep.
You know.
I mean, if you want an answer to most of USPSA's problems with non-elected officials, you give veto power to a different branch of the organization. You literally have range masters and section coordinators, or just section coordinators, be able to override rule changes that are made from the area directors, or from the board. Or have disciplinary action against people who can't be removed. If you have, let's say somebody comes down and works from the IT department and slaps one of your competitors at your local range, and the area director does not want to do anything about it, then you just have your section coordinators in that area override your area director.
But then, what is the saying? Who watches the watchers? Who then overrides the section coordinators? I mean, in the checks and balances.
The checks and balances thing is as long as all interests align, you'll never need any mode for conspiracy, right? So as long as all their interests align, but if you have a separate group of people who have completely different interests than their area directors, which is very possible, and it happens a lot in this sport, that section coordinators not completely agree or may run in the future against their area directors, then you have a self-checking system, because even if the motivations are not all pure and good at the section coordinator level, they will at least interfere with the will of an area director, and only really the good ideas that are pretty much harmless can more likely pass through.
So I had this thought this week, and I don't know why it came up, but I actually had this thought. I actually think USPSA headquarters and the area directors, they like all the turmoil from the leaks. They want the leaks to happen.
And how did the leaks keep getting leaked if nobody wants the leaks to happen?
Yeah, and so they're putting out this thing you need to have a confidentiality statement or something like that right now, and it's like, guys, you want this to happen. Everything you're doing says we want the leaks to continue, because if they truly wanted to stop the leaks, they'd be transparent. They would live stream the board meetings. They do all that sort of stuff. But because they don't, they are functionally saying, we just want to keep having these leaks so that we can be mad about something. And Leighton, I mean, the Area 2 director, I swear on my life, that guy is probably one of the most thin-skinned people I've ever heard of in my entire life. Derek from Practical Shooting Insights, he lives rent-free 24/7 inside of Leighton's head.
No.
And everything, and then it's like, okay, we can solve this. We can put Derek out of business right now if we just open up and we be transparent about everything. So why don't we? Because I think they actually like it. I think they like thinking that they're this super secret squirrel club, because there's very little outside of personnel issues, some financial aspects that you just have to be.
Yeah.
That really needs to be secret, unless you just want to be secret. And I think that's what they want.
Well, just trying to sit there and understand motivations. Let's see. Why would you generally want stuff to be secret? Because you're not proud of what you're doing, or you don't feel like you're doing the best job possible.
Kyle Stevens made an observation. He said, if you're negotiating for a range, you don't want to tell them what your amount of money is.
Yeah.
Because then they'll be like, oh, well, we'll just take that, or they'll increase it or whatever. So I mean, there's certain things. Obviously, there's certain things that we all can understand, that it's not necessarily that it's secret, but it's just okay, we don't need to tell people
it's
this
not best practices
right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
But most
it's not in
of the
your
stuff
best
that happens,
interest to let stuff out. Yeah.
Yeah. Most of the stuff that happens, it's not that big of a deal.
No,
and so why don't we just tell people it? You solve all the problems. Derek doesn't have anything to do, and I'm not bagging on Derek. I'm not saying good or bad, but you take away the people's ammunition if you're just open and transparent. What does it you say? If you come into the light.
Yeah, well, if you can't pickpocket a naked man, right? So if you stand on your own merits, it becomes very hard to sit there and find faults. And you can find faults, but it's very hard not to find your faults. At least would be justified in the eyes of the people who are voting for you.
Yeah.
But the same narcissistic vibe that might make some people run is the same narcissistic vibe which prevents them from being open and honest. And that's you ride into the ever continuing conundrum of everyone that should be in office is not.
Yeah. And fundamentally, the people who would do best will never run because they don't want to deal with it.
Lots of USPSAs, if you're going to have committees and stuff like that, then you actually have to have vetted people. The section coordinators and the match directors know those people more than anybody else. They know the D-class shooter who shows up and sets up every weekend for a sport that he does not see the trophies pouring in for. They understand the grandmasters who are good grandmasters and have a great understanding of the sport, and the grandmasters who are just very fast on their feet and like to do whatever they want on the range and would not be good candidates. I do not. Those are the kind of people that should be put forward if there's going to be some committees to the section coordinators, and they should have the section coordinators' ears, and the section coordinators should have more power to be almost a second branch or a veto power of the area director. If an area director votes on something and the majority of his or let's say 75% of his section coordinators say that's a bad idea, they should be able to veto that. And I'm not saying that they automatically overturn, but that the motion probably stalls out from there. And like that's a strong check on the top down, and then you have a bottom up sort of representative. It's no more different than a Senate and the House of Representatives. You get 2 years, you're most accountable, you know the influence and the people who are politically motivated and in your area that have the problems and have your ear, and it becomes a great check on that. And when senators were provided from the state, it was a kind of a different thing. But like, you could just do the same model, but that will never get voted on in a committee meeting. So you'd have to have a great sweeping change, because no one on the area would probably vote to have basically their power majority like stripped. There'd probably be like 2 guys on the whole out of all the area
which is why I'm saying I think they like the leaks, because it gives them that super secret squirrel power that they feel that they deserve.
Yeah, well, as long as you have leaks, you can always hurt your enemies and make yourself look good.
Well, and it's the funniest thing, because the people who are leaking, they're not. It's not like they're running over to Derek. It's not like the area directors are running over to Derek. What they're doing is they're talking to somebody who they think is on their side, and then that person goes and is like, no, actually, I'm going to go talk to this person. And that's how it works.
Yeah, well, the only reason you would like the leaks, let's say you would like the leaks, is because it is a form of controlled information. You can have no leaks unless you have controlled information, which means, therefore, if you leak or take the proactive stance in the communications of which you have, you still get to have control of the information that's processed and parsed out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
crazy, right?
It's the weapon of my enemy, and therefore it's my weapon, right? Yeah. So it's the tactic of the day. So when everyone's equally powered, you end up in stalemates, and that's exactly probably what we're looking for in the sport for a good section of time till it kind of.
I like a government that doesn't get anything done,
unless the absolute necessary stuff it needs to get done.
I will go with you to that point. Yes, I will agree with you there.
Yeah, there's stuff that government should do, and squabbling and backbiting and other motivations and separate powers keep it from only doing the stuff that you in your basic form would say you need to do that. You need to do that. You have to do that now.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yep. Anyways, thanks for listening, subscribing, doing all that jazz. Check us out on Instagram, search PARAcast. Check us out. It's probably not the Ghost Show. I don't know how Gene Steinberg's doing with the Ghost Show. Maybe it's still going. But if it's a ghost, subscribe to it. If it's not a ghost, if it's us, subscribe to it anyway. Check us out on Telegram. When we ask for questions, you can ask us and generally have a great time. Look at all my 45 caliber pistols. This being a really good one.
By the way, bring me back my 45 stuff when.
You have all your 45 stuff except for the caliber conversion kit. I do need the pins.
Bring that back.
I don't know if I have that. It's probably under pile. It's under one of your Doom piles. Don't listen to him. He's nuts. Thanks for all that.
Hey, you asshole. You know what'll end up happening is I'm going to buy another set, and then you'd be like, oh, I've got that. And I'm like, mother scratcher.
You gift it to me. For Robert Wyatt and Jared Stepp, I'm Tom Nelson, bidding you peace, love, and soul as we depart into the open waters of the Sea of Life on a little tugboat we like to call the PARAcast.
Good night, everybody.